prior till, today, obviously. I mean, hey, I said it. I mean, I could be a weatherman up here. Just get me on, the news, and we'll tell you how it is. I told you, 2 days ago, it was going to be cold, about 60-something yesterday, and then about 50 today, and rainy, and it's not that good. So, hey, sign me up. I'm your new meteorologist. You can get your fix with me, okay? That's all you need to know. But, hey, other than that, it's kind of been, like I said, pretty shitty outside the last couple days, and that's all right, or at least today and yesterday. But today we got some good stuff, like always, okay? We're going to bring you kind of the ins and outs of what's going to happen like we have pretty much this whole week and the week before, kind of talking about all the teams and what to kind of expect going forward at the start of the season. And today we're going to get to a couple teams, all right, like always. So with that, are you ready to get your fix? So to get started, we're going to go right over to a team that had an off-season issue, but really kind of ended up working it out, and at least I hope they ended up working it out for this season anyways, but maybe not next season. We'll see what happens. But that is the Seattle Seahawks. All right? At the end of the season last year, Russell Wilson was pretty unhappy. I think everybody kind of seen the news about that, how he's, kind of not really sure what the situation is going forward and what his plan is going forward. But right now, he is currently a Seattle Seahawk. He's going to be for the rest of the season. Who knows down the road, like in the future after this year. But this was mainly due to the protection he was getting, because he wasn't getting that much, all right? He had to run outside of the pocket the majority of the time, okay? Right away during the start of the season, we seen Russell Wilson pretty much lead the MVP candidates, like majorly, okay? This dude was on fire, setting the league, or putting the league in shock pretty much, all right? He did amazing things. Okay, now this caused him to run, when he ran around outside the pocket, it caused him to make a lot of mistakes, and it took him out of that MVP race, okay? He literally just vanished. This man has never received one single vote for an MVP by anybody, all right? And I noted that last year, and who knows what's gonna happen going forward, because like I said, that protection for him was really non-existent. And, reports kind of came out that Russell wanted out of Seattle. Okay, not 100% true if that, or not 100% sure if that was true or not, because he did say part of it, like any other player, you never want to get hit. That's the reality of playing this position. Ask any quarterback who wants to play this game. So you could tell he had an issue with getting hit a lot, or having to scramble outside the pocket quite a bit. And playing the quarterback position, all those quarterbacks out there, they know that it sucks. Sometimes you get hit in the blind side and that hurts a lot. Sometimes you just get smacked by a 300-pound lineman that you lock dead in the eyes, knowing he's coming. All right. Now Russell did take quite a few hits last season. Okay, he was sacked 47 times, which was the third most in the NFL. I'm not really 100% sure who the top two guys were. But being sacked 47 times takes a toll, not on just, your body, but his mental state, his physical state. It really drains a quarterback, knowing that, okay, if I drop back on this pass, there's going to be probably a 40-50% chance that I could get hit on this play, whether that be while I'm throwing it or before I'm throwing it. There's a good chance I will get hit. And, however, though, he did still have 4,012 yards, 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So the fact that he was able to keep those interceptions down to only 13 is actually really impressive, with having to scramble outside the pocket and taking all those hits. And I think what we've seen from the past from Russell Wilson is that his ability to really find open receivers or take risks and really succeeding at that. Okay, he has a really high percentage of completing pretty deep passes. Even though Kirk Cousins, graded by, I think able to comprehend football, would be Michael Vick. This guy was the guy to always scramble outside and throw on the run, and he did it exceptionally well. Okay, now Russell Wilson is a whole different story. This guy, he plays professional baseball in the offseason. He played with the Texas Rangers, then the New York Yankees now. I'm not 100% sure if he's still doing it. I'd assume so. because I think he's mainly doing it to train for football and kind of get those, cat-like reflexes back up. But with being hit that much and having to scramble that much, this leads me to the major problem in Seattle. Their offensive line. I mean, it's right there in the writing. Okay, there's only 5 people that are going to be responsible, or actually 5 to 6 people counting the running back, that are responsible to protect Russell Wilson. That ain't the wide receiver's job. That ain't, I mean, it could be the tight end's job in certain plays, but it's mainly that offensive line. So I went and took a look at their current depth chart, and let me tell you, it's okay. Not the greatest. Okay, when you look at it, you're thinking, all right, Minnesota Vikings type of line. I mean, they have some guys, but really nothing too, set in stone, too, I guess, not really standoutish players. Okay, and that really scares me. They have 4 legitimate starters on that depth chart. They left 1 spot blank, and that leads me to believe that some other person, excuse me, in, the other positions on that offensive line are going to have to take over that role of being that starter. But their 4 legitimate starters are Dwayne Brown. He's been in the NFL for 14 years. I think he's built a pretty decent resume for the most part. I mean, playing offensive line for 14 years, you got to be doing something right. I believe, what was it? What's his name? Joe Thomas, I think is his name. He played for the Browns for a while. He played, I think, 12 or 15 seasons, something like that, as an offensive lineman. And offensive line is the hardest position to play, physicality-wise, okay? Not necessarily technique-wise, a whole bunch. I mean, you still have to have, be technically sound on that offensive line. But at the same time, you're getting hit on every single play. There's some people that go out there and don't get touched to play. Offensive linemen and defensive linemen, they clash every single play. It takes a big toll on your body. There's a lot more injuries that could take place, especially with, you step up or you step out wrong and your leg goes out from underneath you and now you sprained your ankle or you broke something or you tore something. Offensive line is very dangerous, okay? I mean, these are big men. They're not boys. I mean, 6'4", 6'5", 270 plus pounds, all the way up to probably about 330, I think, is Mekhi Becton. He's like actually 6'7", 330 pounds, I'm pretty sure, which is a monster, okay? But Dwayne Brown, been there 14 years. Gabe Jackson, they brought him over from the Raiders this year. He's been in the league for 8 years. He's been all right. He has been able to do his job. Now it's just, can he learn the new system? And then they have Ethan Pocic. I think that's how you say his name. It's pretty much spelled like Doncic, like Luka Doncic for basketball, but it's Pocic. I don't know anything about this guy. I couldn't tell you if he's going to be good or not. But he's been in the NFL for 5 years. And then you got Brandon Shell. He's been in the NFL for 6 years. Okay, Ethan and Brandon, I couldn't tell you. All right, I just, right there and then you kind of get the hint that, okay, these guys probably aren't the greatest. And that's kind of what I'm getting to. And that's kind of sucks because they don't really put out stats for offensive linemen, which I think they should, and the only stats I would actually have them put up is like how many times did they let the defender hit the quarterback, how many times did they miss a block, stuff like that. It's simple stuff like that that can ruin a game. And that's what we need to be able to analyze and look at because, yeah, obviously there's probably somewhere where I could go look at that, but I mean, it's offensive line. You got to do your job. And if you're not doing it for Gabe Jackson, that's why Dwayne Brown, from what I know, he's done all right, but he hasn't had the group around him and continuously to build that chemistry is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I only know Gabe Jackson and Dwayne Brown, and that's saying something. All right, I think total offensive linemen, I want to say was like about 9 players or 12 players, somewhere around there, where a lot of teams actually have about 15. And they have every slot filled. They have plenty of depth that they could, either cut them, put them on their practice squad, whatever they want. Okay, but Seattle doesn't have that. Now, if the Seahawks want to protect Russell Wilson, they have a long ways to go. They have, like I just said, they have no depth at the offensive line whatsoever. If one guy goes down, expect Russell Wilson to get hit a lot more because it's going to be tough. And yeah, he is a mobile quarterback, but he doesn't want to be. You know, like when you're a quarterback, your main job is to, you know, take the snap, drop back, and throw it. It's not to drop back, run 150 some yards, and then throw the ball. That's not what you want to do as a quarterback. You want to get in there, make your play, and get back up to the line. It's pretty simple, all right? It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, however, we've seen what Russell Wilson can and is capable of doing regardless of his protection. I mean, 4,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, only 13 interceptions last year with a pretty bad line. All right, they made it all the way to the playoffs. I mean, he's also got a lot of talent at that running back and wide receiver position. He has Chris Carson, who missed about 4 weeks last year due to a foot injury, okay, but was still able to be a somewhat of a prominent piece to that offense. You know, he had 681 yards on 141 attempts and 5 touchdowns. Okay, so that is compared to, you know, 2018, he had 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, and then 2019, he had 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. So yeah, his yardage did go down, but take in mind those 4 games missed. I mean, you could be talking, you know, 80 yards for all those games, and then that puts him right back up to that 1,000-yard mark. So he's capable of rushing for 1,000 yards. He's a very good runner. Okay, he's a downhill runner. That's what he's going to do, and he's going to get the job done. Okay, he might not score a ton, but you know, in 2018, 9 touchdowns. You know, 2 years ago, 7, and then last year 5. So he's able to get in that end zone and able to be a piece of that offense. But it goes right back to that offensive line. Can and will that offensive line be able to hold, you know, the defense from getting to him? It's really, that is the biggest problem right now with Seattle, is that offensive line. They have everything else. Okay, they even have Rashad Penny at running back. Only played the last 3 games of the season last year. Okay, he tore his ACL at the end of the 2019 season, I'm pretty sure. So he's all right, but he's really only a backup. You're only going to get about 250 to 500 yards with him, and that's only if he's healthy, because Chris Carson's obviously going to take the majority of that load in that backfield. So, and then we've also briefly talked about DK Metcalf. All right, 6'4", 230 pounds, pure muscle. There's literally, I think, when they did it, I want to say it was like 2 or 4% body fat on him. It's ridiculous. This guy is a bodybuilder playing football, pretty much. All right, and he's doing a very, very good job. Okay, he's in 2019, so 2 years ago, 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, and then last year, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. His production went up, and it's only going to continue to go up. And then you pair him with Tyler Lockett. Dude's been a big piece for that Seattle team. Okay, he's absolutely been tearing it up there. 2018, 965 yards, 10 touchdowns. 2019, about 1,057 yards, 8 touchdowns. And then last year, 1,054 and 10 touchdowns. Okay, so the touchdowns right there, you're gonna get at least, you know, close to 10, or if not 10. Maybe more, who knows? It depends on, you know, if Russell Wilson can get him the ball, if he's open on the majority of the routes that he runs, and stuff like that can all play a factor in that. But DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are a top 3 wide receiver duo in the NFL. Okay, they could be number 1. That all really depends solely on, I guess, if Julio lands somewhere special, which for some reason, I don't know if it was a joke, but some dude said, source, me, he's signing with the New England Patriots, and I was like, I haven't really seen anything. But then, like, an hour or 2 later, Colin Cowherd goes on Twitter and was like, how do I have this information first? He's like, you social media analysts need to get to work a little bit, because I shouldn't have this before them. And so that makes me think it's something with the Julio Jones, but that's all speculation. That's all something, who knows. But for right now, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, definitely a top 3 wide receiver duo in the NFL, including last year. Okay, between the two of them, 2,357 receiving yards and 20 touchdowns. That is a lot. Okay, that's about 120 points that they were responsible for. Okay. So they were the main reason Seattle had any success at all. Okay, yeah, Russell Wilson is obviously a big factor as well, but Russell Wilson has to get him the ball, and these receivers have to make the play in order to catch the ball. Yeah, Russell Wilson is going to put it in a spot where you should be able to catch it, but then at the same time, it is the NFL. You have NFL caliber, obviously, cornerbacks right there doing this job day in and day out. Literally, they breathe, eat, and sleep football. Same with these wide receivers. So it's a test, and these guys have passed very, very well. Okay. You take one of these guys out of the equation, and the Seahawks are going to be in very big trouble. Like, let's say, for instance, we go today or right after the show, all of a sudden, bam, Tyler Lockett's gone. Well, who's your next guy up? Because when I looked, it wasn't that good. Okay, yeah, they have guys that can step up, all right, and do their job. But at the same time, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are your two. Yeah, they have Will Dissly at tight end, and, the other guy, he is their starter. But yeah, you get the gist. Okay, if one of these guys are gone, it's going to be that much tougher on Russell Wilson, even though he did pretty solid last year. And I think that's what Russell Wilson's been always about is, I'm going to go out there and perform to the best of my ability, regardless of the wins and losses. And he does one hell of a job with it. Not necessarily MVP type, but he's damn near close. Okay, defensively though, this team is all right. Okay, and they have enough depth to be safe, other than that offense, or other than that offensive line, I should say. Okay, the biggest addition to this team last season was Jamal Adams. He really helped the Seattle Seahawks establish stopping the run game in a big way. Okay, dude had 83 tackles and 9.5 sacks. Excuse me. I think he led all safeties in sacks, and I think he actually broke the NFL record as well, if I'm right. That's ridiculous as a safety to come up and have 9.5 sacks. And I think the biggest issue last year really was that Seattle needed a defensive end. That was the big story. They need a defensive end, somebody that can go in there and help stop the run game or gets the quarterback, put pressure on him so he can make mistakes. But they go get Jamal Adams. They trade for him from the Jets, obviously, and stepped up pretty nice. The guy's quick, can sneak up these linebackers and behind. Kind of with all that being Russell Wilson, at least hopefully, because if not, Russell Wilson's going to have a few choice words with his offensive line and probably Pete Carroll as well, because something's got to be fixed. 47 times to be sacked is just way too much, especially by like 300-pound people. I mean, come on. Like, that is bad news. That's an injury waiting to happen literally at the blink of an eye. Like, it's just awful. But I don't expect nothing less than a playoff run and a playoff push by this team. They have the Rams, the Niners, and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are looking to make a push. The Rams got Matthew Stafford. I mean, the 49ers went out and drafted Trey Lance, so hopefully that passing attack gets going. They have a stellar defense. This is the toughest division in the NFL, by far. Like, there is no other division that is as tough as this one. You could say, yeah, you could put up similarities between some divisions, but the strength of that division right now is unbelievable. Okay, this is a very tough division to win in, and it's a very tough division to, I guess, somewhat succeed in. And the Seahawks have found a way to do that. Okay, but now the other teams in that division are looking to do that as well. All right, so don't worry too much about the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be just fine. Boy Russell over here will be just fine. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. I don't want to knock on fake wood or anything, but hopefully that's not the case. All right. So with that being said, let's get to the Los Angeles Chargers, because this team is just so close to making a playoff run, and very, very well could do it this season. Okay, they finished 7-9 last season overall, and 3-3 in that AFC West division. Not bad by any means. I mean, he had a rookie quarterback pretty much starting from week 2, and he did pretty well. Now, I say so close to making the playoff run because of what they've done in the past. Okay, 2018 finished 12-4. Phillip Rivers was that quarterback still for the Chargers, and they ended up losing in the divisional round to the New England Patriots, 41-28, which the New England Patriots actually went on to win the Super Bowl 13-3. One hell of a Super Bowl. That was probably one of the boringest Super Bowls I've ever seen. But hey, my boy Brady continues to get it done every day. Every season, every day, every week, every day. See, I said day 3 times because that's literally what he does. All right. It's just how the cookie crumbles. But then you look at 2019. Okay, they finished 5-11. Phillip is still there. Okay. Pretty sure they had a couple key injuries that year. I want to say Nick Bosa was hurt a little bit. Or, no, Joey Bosa was hurt a little bit. But at the same time, they had somewhat of the same personnel. Okay. So who knows what kind of really went on there, okay? Then you go look last year. Now, like I said earlier, they finished 7-9, so they're slowly on the come up. They've always been the team to kind of, when I went back and looked at, their records from 2000 to now, the majority of the time it's either 9-7, 7-9, or 8-8. There's a couple here and there that's 12-4 or 11-5, but they're that team that's going to be either right under, right at, or just barely above 500, okay? And with that, it's really, I don't know, kind of, different because they are so close to making that playoff run. And the fact that they only do it every once in a while instead of the majority of the time kind of shocks me. They are in an okay division. Okay, yeah, they have some tough competition. San Diego, or when they were in San Diego, no fans really. They'd go to a game and there'd be 20 or 100 fans. It was ridiculous, or 1,000 or 2. I can't remember, but it was pretty low. Okay, attendance was not there. That's why they decided to move to Los Angeles, hoping the wins would start coming. They didn't. Below 500, didn't make the playoffs. It's one of those things where you're there, but you just can't knock that door down. They're so close. Okay, you look at their 2018 team, they still had the majority of the personnel that they do now. Okay, other than Phillip Rivers and Melvin Gordon. Obviously, Melvin Gordon's with the Denver Broncos. He's probably going to start because Phillip Lindsay ended up leaving. And Phillip Rivers went to the Colts last year, did his thing, went to the playoffs, and then ended up, retiring. Now is the head football coach for a high school team. All right? Now, one big piece of this Chargers team is Justin Herbert. Okay, he's going into year 2. And in the past, I think I've noted this, I can't remember if it was earlier this week or last week, but I did say that, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, both in their second year starting, won the MVP. Okay, last year it was Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Lamar and Patrick were both in their third years. And, this is a new year. Justin Herbert's now coming into his second year, so he could very well make an MVP type of run, okay, an MVP type performance. All right, now he posted 4,336 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He ended up winning the Pepsi Rookie of the Year and the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I did think my boy Justin Jefferson should have probably won at least one of those. Come on, man. Granted, Justin Herbert did what a lot of quarterbacks can't do when they come in the league and absolutely set it on fire. And that's awesome. But so did Justin Jefferson. So I understand. Maybe they could have shared this, trophy, but who the hell wants to share a trophy? No. It's like saying, we tied in the Super Bowl. We'll both get a Lombardi. No. And that's another thing I hate is ties. I do not like ties at all. It's stupid. Absolutely dumb. Dumb. Get rid of that shit. I am so sick of it. Like, you look at your team and it's 7-8-1, and you're like, well, we could have won that game if you just give us one more drive. Like, yeah, I understand you still have that overtime, but then after that, do like a kickoff or something. I think Pat McAfee even said that rule. Like, if it goes down to after that first, overtime, okay, do a kickoff. But now I'm getting sidetracked, so we're going to kind of shift back over here. Okay, so if you remember, I thought pretty highly of Justin Herbert, okay, coming into the NFL. Okay, he has the height, he has the weight, his awareness is pretty solid. It could be, cleaned up a little bit here and there. But for the most part, he has a pretty good ability to scramble if need be, and do a pretty good job of it. If I had to compare him to another to another quarterback that is more like a pocket passer than a running kind of quarterback, I guess, a mobile quarterback, but does run pretty well, is Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'd compare Justin Herbert to an Aaron Rodgers type of a runner. All right, this dude had 234 yards on 55 attempts and 5 touchdowns. Pretty decent. Okay, 5 touchdowns. He was responsible for, 36 touchdowns total, counting his passing and rushing together. Pretty good from a rookie quarterback on a team that has a history of not being so good, but then kind of shocking, the whole league here and there. And that's awesome. All right. However, their division, is going to be a tough one, okay? And it's going to be a tough one to win. But they have a chance to still make the playoffs, even if they don't get first in that division. I mean, hell, we've seen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens, all in the same division, all make the playoffs. So it's very, very doable. But it really is down solely to them. Can and will they make, that next step? Can they win another game or two? Can they break into that playoff, picture? Because if they do, everybody in the playoffs starts at 0-0. Okay? You're no longer, you still have all that regular season to kind of look back on and see, kind of compare a little bit, but it's a whole new breed of football in that playoff game. Okay? They let a lot more, or not terribly more, I guess, stuff happen, or, a lot more hits happen and stuff, but they do. They allow a lot more things to kind of play out because it is, fighting neck to neck to see if you can get to that Super Bowl. Who has, the more glory, the more guts, the more, dedication to his craft. And that's what it comes down to. Okay, they have the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. Okay, the Chiefs and the Raiders are going to put up a really good fight. Chiefs probably, going to win that division. Raiders are going to put up a damn good fight. They always somehow do, even though it doesn't look that good on paper or record-wise. And then the Broncos, they're going to be a team that kind of surprises a few people here and there every once in a while. But at the same time, they do need a quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater, being how good he has been with the Saints and how all right he was with the Vikings, I think he's okay. Okay, not necessarily a starting caliber quarterback, but he definitely could be. We've seen last year with Carolina when he had to start all that time, or start pretty much every game and be the guy. It wasn't that great, but again, I think that goes back to coaching, where Matt Rule pretty much didn't work on 2-minute offense, didn't work on, red zone and all that stuff, and that kind of, you need that. Because if you don't know what to do in that situation, well, you're not going to do anything, okay? I really like the Chargers' odds of making a playoff push this year. Okay, but at the same time, they just got a new head coach, so it could take some time to learn that new playbook. Hopefully, the guys that were already there on the team before the draft and that weren't cut already, got in contact with the coach, especially Justin Herbert, I'm assuming, and got that playbook, started scrolling through it to make sure that they had somewhat of an idea going forward of what they need to do and how to do it. But they still have a lot of the same personnel. Since 2018, they have a lot of the same guys. Okay, offensively, they got plenty of studs. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. There's a couple more guys down there I could go talk about. But those guys are pretty big pieces. They have a decent offensive line. But the offensive line, like I said, they can play pretty solid. They need to clean some things up as well, okay? Like that awareness of Justin Herbert. They need to clean a little bit up, and they'll be fine. Fine-tune their game a little bit. And they're going to be just fine, okay? Justin Herbert has the ability to scramble like we talked about, all right? And he has the ability to be an elite passer. Now, defensively, this team is ready to stick it to any other NFL defense, or any NFL offense, excuse me. Okay, they didn't have Derwin James last year, all last season, at all. Okay, he tore his ACL or meniscus, one of the two. I'm pretty sure it was ACL. But he is now healthy, okay, and more ready to open some eyes. This dude is a top safety in the NFL, probably top 3, top 5. Okay, he's a freak. Now, coming off that injury, we're going to really see his true spirit. Like, can he overcome that? Because we see a lot of people come in and they're really nervous to kind of take that, first step unless you're Adrian Peterson, for God's sakes, and damn near break the rushing record, which I wish he would have, and I wish Brad Childress would have gave him that chance, but never did. So screw him, right? That's all right. But I believe, like I said, top 3 to 5 safety in the NFL. He's a very, very good player. Now, one move I was really kind of unsure about was letting Desmond King, their corner from last year and the season before that, walk away in free agency. He went to the Houston Texans. He signed a 1-year deal, which is all right. I mean, hey, he just wants to get paid and wants to go to somewhere else and experience new things, and that's all right. However, though, I understood why they did this once it came to draft time. Okay, they ended up drafting Asante Samuel Jr. We had talked about him a little bit. They got him with the 15th pick in that second round. I believe it was 47th overall. And this is a very, very, I'd say, solid pick. Okay, absolutely love this pick because what you get to see from his dad, Asante Samuel, with New England and Philadelphia, you are going to see exactly, or even more, of what his dad did. Okay, from Asante Samuel Jr. This guy is a ball hawk. He always makes sure he gets one hand on the ball, or he makes sure he's going to, as soon as your hands touch the ball, he's going to slap him and try to make it, very, very difficult for you to catch that. Okay? Now, the Chargers, in my eyes, addressed the right positions they needed to. Okay? And they're going to be a problem this season. I just don't see them winning their division. Okay? Because, let's be honest. This is the Kansas City Chiefs division. Has been for the last 3 years, and it's going to continue to be their division unless for some reason they lose a lot of their weapons and they only can keep Patrick Mahomes and they only have, a few guys here and there. But at the same time, it goes back to, can you win with him or are you winning because of him? And that's the Chiefs. They're winning because of Patrick Mahomes. Okay, there's other teams where, we're winning with him. We don't necessarily need him. But Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys that they're winning because of, okay? Now, however, I do and would expect the Los Angeles Chargers to get into the playoffs somehow, whether that be, they're the second seed in their division or first seed and get in there, or, something plays out, magically for them and they break in there. Because it is 7 teams now. Only the first seed gets a bye, which I think I like this format. It gives a team that might have been right on the brink of making the playoffs, gives them that chance to really, prove to see if they actually have what it takes to go and win a Super Bowl, to go and win a playoff game, and stuff like that. And that's really awesome that the NFL had decided to do this for their players. Well, before I get to this last piece of information, I think a little bit of big news here this morning would be that Todd Gurley is now in Detroit. Didn't sign with him, by the way, not yet. He's there for a visit. Okay, Todd Gurley is a free agent. Played with the Rams. Had pretty solid season. Was compared to Atlanta, starting running back still in this league. But yeah, he's visiting Detroit Lions, and not necessarily a position that they need 100%, but that would help. Okay, that would help a lot. I think it would help in the receiving game and in the running game. They have a decent offensive line that we talked about with Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, and a couple of other guys like Penny Sewell and stuff. All right, but I just thought I should put that out there. Give you guys your fix on that because I did see that. Thought it was pretty interesting. Todd Gurley to Detroit Lions. Watch out, NFC North. We're in trouble. We're not in trouble. We'll be just fine. Okay, Vikings. Defense. Their run defense is pretty solid. Green Bay's run defense is on the come up. Chicago Bears. Well, good luck running on them. Because that's a pretty solid defensive line, pretty solid linebacker group, I'd say, with at least Khalil Mack there and, Akeem Hicks and other pieces like that. So let's kind of get off of that. Now, we've talked recently, okay, about a couple teams, all the time, getting, their fix. But now every team kind of has got their fix. And this isn't really terribly interesting news, but it's something. Okay, so yesterday, before we went live, about 4-ish, the NFL actually sent out a memo to all the players and clubs, okay, and it said that they have set the salary cap ceiling for the 2022 season, so next year, at $208.2 million. Okay, so they need about $25 million more to increase from last year. So I believe there was at like 180 or 185, or no, $180 million. Okay, that it got set at, and they actually presumed it to be 175, or they thought it was going to be that, and so they set it at $208.2 million. Now, if the cap is more than $208.2 million, they have flexibility to pay back suspended benefits sooner than previously determined than the previously determined date 2023. Okay. Now, the agreement also protects all players by holding the NFL accountable to their CBA. I don't know what the hell that stands for. Economics, which is cool. Now, this is actually some good news and obvious news because the NFL expects to have full stadiums at full capacity. So, who knows what that cap is going to end up being? It's probably going to be a lot higher. But at the same time, they did sign a lot of new TV deals with Fox and CBS and all that, and it's pretty big deals if I remember right. So who knows what that's going to really end up looking like, but I'd assume there's going to be an increase in revenue. Whether that's a lot more than last year or about the same, who knows? It's more money, all right, just for the NFL. Now, if you remember me also talking about that salary cap last year, the NFL was debating to put an escrow hold on salaries, but the players ended up actually getting all of what they were owed thanks to the board of player representatives. Now, that board also made an agreement to spread out the gap, okay, in revenue as evenly as possible for the next 3 years or over a 3-year period. So that's going back to that 2023 thing where that's where they wanted to spread it out, the revenue, and kind of make sure people get their benefits and all that. Didn't really happen, but it goes out there. So all this, all the salaries they wanted to make sure got spread out over those 3 years. It's not really going to. And a lot of players knew that and accepted that, and hey, that's all right. Okay. Now, if you, I guess, really the board of player representatives, they also made an agreement, okay, to spread out the gap in revenue, obviously, like I said, 3 years, and in exchange, as a way to absorb that revenue shortfall, so it did not pull from their salaries, all the players' salaries, the staff and organization salaries, the board agreed to delay paying nearly $17 million in benefits per club, okay, that would have been available to players last year. Don't really know 100% what this all entails. I just know they're finding a way to make sure players keep their money and continue to keep getting their money. Because obviously, if you go out there and play 17, 18 weeks of football and you don't get paid, you're going to be pissed. Okay? These guys get paid game days. It's game day checks. It's not every week, including no, it's literally after the game, that next Monday or Tuesday or whatever, you have to go get your check and blah, 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 and do all that stuff. Okay? Now, all of this stuff and all this mumbo-jumbo shit that I really don't know too much about, I just thought it'd be cool to inform you guys, Probably boring anyways. I think it's a little bit boring, but I thought I should bring it up. Okay? Now, all this is really just due to our so-called friend or somewhat friend, COVID. Because, stadiums had no fans last year. So it's hard to find revenue. You had to rely solely on, the TV revenues. And it's really hard to do that with how much you owe them. Okay? And they found a way, obviously, to do it. And that's awesome. Okay? And it was really tough to get revenue. Okay? But they found a way to keep, making more and more money. And that's what it's about. It's just raising the salary cap, not lowering it. Unless, obviously like a pandemic that just happened, happens again. Then that's the only time you'd think it'd go down, which it did last year. I believe it was supposed to be at like 190 million or 200 million, something like that, and it went down to 175, but the actual numbers were 180 million. So, hey, they're continuing to find ways to improve and keep their players happy as much as humanly possible. The jersey number situation got changed. And all these voidable contracts that they're still able to get paid and still be able to play football. I mean, there's ways that the NFL is trying to, make sure that their players are happy. there's a lot of things that are still not okay, obviously. I think that pass interference, replay obviously was a terrible thing. It never really worked at all. But there's definitely a way to figure that out. Whether there's one sole person making the call for that. Who knows? But I think that's also will make the game a lot longer, and that's what we don't want, because I think there's a lot of ridiculous penalties and a lot of ridiculous timeouts that really takes the game from being a 2.5 hour game to like a 4 to 5 hour game, and that's just, it's stupid. I hate it. We need to figure out a way to, bring that down a little bit. I think some refs are a little, flag happy, but at the same time, a lot of them were right. But at the end of the season, they always try to pick the right ones for the playoffs and for the Super Bowl. So hey, it is what it is. The NFL is an interesting game. It's an interesting business organization, if you will, and they're going to be around for at least another, for as long as I can see. 20, 25 years, who knows? A lot of people thought it was going to, disappear, and maybe it will eventually. Who knows? Okay, there's a lot of injuries that are involved with football. Concussions being a major one, ACLs being another one. But that's part of the sport. You sign up to play that. You sign up knowing what you're going to get yourself into. All right, you know damn well as an offensive lineman, you're going to go up against a defensive lineman that's either the same size as you or maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, and you guys are going to clash every single play. You know that from day one. All right, and I don't necessarily think, one thing that really bothers me is parents telling their kids, oh, you can't play that sport because it's too dangerous. Who the hell are you to tell me how to live? No way. I'm going to go out there and play football. That looks so much fun. I want to go play. That's one thing that really bothers me. I don't want my kid playing that sport. Well, what if he genuinely wants to? Let him go do that, But football is a great sport. Yeah, the injuries could go away. That's something that just comes along with it. But at the same time, it's a great sport. And they're trying to figure out all these, stuff to do and different things. But yeah, that is all I got for you guys today, okay? It's been a pretty solid week, I'd say. A couple hits, a couple misses, and that's all right. That's why we keep doing this day in and day out, trying to build the brand, if you will. I mean, hey, getting your fix, right? Now, like I said, it's been a pretty solid week besides the fact that it's pretty shitty outside. Been raining damn near all day long, and that's life, obviously. I mean, we got to have a couple rain days. It is spring, obviously. All right, now we are going to be taking tomorrow off so I can get a couple things ready for the show. I'm not necessarily for the show, but for me, so I can kind of, get a little bit better. I also want to try to put these videos or these shows and clip them and put them on my Instagram, because my Instagram has been, a little dead recently, and when it was booming before. But we'll get back to that. We're going to try to figure out a way to get clips onto there so you guys can at least get your fix on there. All right, so hopefully I can get the majority of that done this weekend, which I think I should be able to. And then also that merchandise store. I tried again, but I got to go call somebody and see how I can actually make that work and how to actually get that up and running so you guys are able to, go get your fix, if you will. So with that being said, we're going to be back here Monday, May 31st at 6 p.m., all right, Memorial Day. We'll see what kind of transpires there, what I got in store for you. I will also be posting a little memo to see what you guys actually want me to talk about, all right, because I'm sick of always having to pick topics, and I mean, I will pick topics if I have to, but I want to see what's going through your guys' brains and stuff, and I think I'm also going to get a Discord up so that people are able to talk to me while I'm on the show, so we can go and kind of answer some questions and kind of talk from there, and, make this more about the people, not just about football, all right? We're doing this for all of us. We're doing it to have fun and kind of pick your guys' brains a little bit as much as picking my brain. So with that, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy, hopefully it's pretty decent weather out there. I mean, you can call me meteorologist if you want. I think at this point it's pretty decent. We're going to start warming up a little bit. You got a chance of showers here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be sunny. So, hey, but have a wonderful weekend. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Thank you again.